Hello,
Good
Sam.
morning.
Hey.
I'm fine. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
So you said you have kid duty drop off and pickup today, or just pickup?
Yeah, so both my wife and I are volunteering with the COVID vaccination effort.
Okay.
We're trying to do it every week for half a day.
Good for you.
She does half a day, I do half a day, and today it worked out. They're very short on volunteers right now, and
Yeah.
my wife's actually volunteering all day long. So I'm on early morning duty, late day duty, work in the middle, and this. It's just one of
That's
those crazy days. But these are crazy times. You know, we
well,
got to
good.
do what we got to do.
Good for you guys. Neither one of you are in the healthcare industry, or are either one of you?
Nope.
Okay.
No, neither one of us, and that's actually something very few people know about. You do not have to be a medical professional to be volunteering on this. Obviously, they do need nurses and they do need
Right.
people that can deliver the shots. But the sheer logistics of 4, 5, 10. I think they're doing 12,000 shots at the Texas Motor Speedway per day. The sheer logistics of that requires everybody to lend a hand,
Yeah.
and it's just so nice to get outside and do something different and know that you're helping. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so
Exactly. No, that's a
that's
good
what we're
thing.
doing.
My wife and I were looking at volunteering, and then we had actually volunteered a couple days, but then I got sick, and then so we both isolated just in precaution, and then the weather event hit, and then of course work hit, and we were like, we haven't been able to find. I keep getting emails about we need more volunteers, but it's that thing. You guys have been able to make the time, which is great for you guys. I'm like struggling to make the time, but hopefully I
Yeah.
can get in on it. Well, cool. So
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great if you can. You know, in the beginning, a lot of people were volunteering because it would accelerate their chance to get the shot, which is
yeah,
fair. But now they've got the shot, they're not coming
and
back.
they're
So
not
they
coming
had
back.
this
Yeah,
hump, and yeah. So
yeah. So like we were talking about yesterday, let's dive into the questions. That way we keep it in the time that we have, and then we can go on to more conversation afterwards.
okay.
And you did receive the questions ahead of time, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to prepare. So we'll just jump right in. So first question, just tell us, why are you running for school board, and why should voters choose you over the other opponents?
Okay, so my name is Sam Wellington. As you say, I'm running for the Coppell ISD School Board, running for place number 7. Just a little about myself. I have 2 kids in the district. My youngest at Wilson, my eldest at North. My little one is currently in 1st grade going through the DLI program, and my eldest is at North Middle School, and he's in the accelerated Spanish program, which is one of the advantages of having done DLI. Now, I am lucky enough, fortunate enough that I speak 4 languages. My life trajectory has taken me that way. My wife was originally born in Colombia, so she speaks Spanish. So we managed to help the kids with the Spanish at home. I'm actually now I'm a proud naturalized U.S. citizen. Have been for years, but I was originally born in Brazil. My father's family was British, and I went to a DLI school in Brazil, K through 12. We studied 50% in English, 50% in Portuguese in that case, from kindergarten all the way to the end of high school. Now, that's more than what Coppell ISD is doing right now. We offer this in elementary school. But later on in high school, I took my IB diploma, and that IB diploma helped me go to the UK for my university degree, where I eventually got a master's in aerospace engineering. So I guess what I'm saying is all of this background makes me truly appreciate the choice that the district can offer. I mean, this is a public school district with choices that are on a par with some of the best private schools, in my opinion, that you can go to. It's exceptional. It has fantastic educators. And I'm proud. I chose to come to Coppell. My company sent me abroad for a while, and I chose to find a way to come back to the Dallas area so I could live back here again, because this is where I wanted to bring up my kids, both the city and the district. The district developed great choice, okay, in learning styles. We talked about some of these programs, DLI, IB, New Tech High. I mean, as an engineer, how can I not appreciate what that has on offer? I know my eldest is little technically minded like me, and he's very much looking forward to learning more and understanding that opportunity. But let's get down to it. CSID is facing a real challenge here. Okay, we are facing a deficit of $7 million. That's an annual deficit on our budget of $7 million. Putting that into proportion, that's about $500 for every learner in the district missing every year between the revenue we are forecasting or expecting and the cost that we are expecting to see. Now, these are conservative numbers, as is always the case with the budget. You look at what is the maximum that I expect to spend and what is a good but conservative estimate of how much we're bringing in. Still, that's a huge disparity. And there are a whole series of reasons why this came to be. There is not a singular reason. Obviously, Austin has changed the rules. House Bill 3 and other points that are out there. I mean, nobody is a fan of recapture. But here's the reality, in my personal opinion. We have to play by the rules, okay? Just like other districts have to play by the rules. In the business world, I can't turn around and say, I'm running a deficit because I had to pay my taxes. I have to pay my taxes just like the district next to me. I may like it, I may not like it, I may like the way it's used, I may not like the way it's used, and I have a voice, and I should stand up with that voice. But ultimately, we need to anticipate what's happening, and we have to react. And this district knows how to react. Let's just take a second to thank our educators and the system that turned on a dime with this COVID situation. There was a minimal anticipation, and yet there was a huge reaction. We got our school zone open, we got our kids learning, and we'll talk a little bit more about how that experience went, but it can be done. You can anticipate, you can react, and we need to do that. There's over 1,000 independent school districts in Texas. Interestingly, over 1,000 independent ones and one that is not independent, but that's a Google story for one day for one of you. But here's the thing, the district has put forward many solutions that address revenue on one side of the equation and address costs on the other side of the equation, right? We're talking about a deficit, we're talking about the balance between those two. Some of these are quick wins. Clearly, some of these are quick wins and they're on the right track. Other solutions that are on the table being studied could really impact what our district has to offer. They have shown on their workshops what savings would be there if we close New Tech High. They have shown what savings would be there if we change or cancel other programs. Now, personally, I understand this. Programs require dedicated resources. They have a cost to run. But if we lost them, we would lose some of what makes Coppell ISD an exceptional district. Coppell ISD is experiencing significant change. Coming back to what we were talking about, Austin, not Austin. Let's look at some of the other elements going on here. We are experiencing change. We've gone from a very fast growth district, and we're now entering a period of stabilization. Now, digging around for data, I found some data that the district itself was looking at back at the end of 2017, and they were expecting a 5-year growth of an additional 1,136 students. But their 10-year growth was 1,385 at the time. So 5 years from then, they expected 1,100 more students, and after that, only 200 more. This level of stabilization is what's happening. Coppell has built out, whether it is residential, whether it is commercial, there's very little space left. This meteoric curve that we have had, thankfully, because our property has been gaining in value, but also because we have been growing, has been helping the district, and the district has had an outlook that is based upon every next year being better than this year. And this has allowed us to go through this amazing recruitment span where we've gathered such amazing talent. This has allowed us to offer the programs that we are currently offering. This has allowed us to improve our special ed, which special ed dyslexia program, Section 504. I think if you speak to parents, they'll tell you that, you know, a few years ago, this was an issue in the district. Personally, I think we are really evolving and really changing in that respect. We're partnering with Frisco ISD. We're doing a good job. We're in a consortium with another 37 districts that originally started with just us and a few others. I can't remember the exact number. So we've managed to put resources where things are on a growth period. Now, talking about myself, I'm a director of transformation in a large aviation multinational. Now, aviation, COVID, you can see the kind of things that we are experiencing and that many, many people out there are experiencing today. My particular company actually went through a major merger a year and a half before COVID. And in the United States, we tripled. And then with COVID, we brought that down by about a third. So in a span of 2 years, I had to, as a director of transformation, I had to help my company through two completely different transformations. How do you triple? How do you deploy everything you need to deploy while you're tripling in size virtually overnight? And then how do you suddenly scale back, losing, unfortunately, 30% of your workforce while we're going through this trough, but losing a phenomenal amount more than that in revenue? Mm-hmm. So how do you trim your costs? How do you do things more efficiently, finding lower ways to deliver what you have to deliver and what you should deliver? And as a transformation specialist, I believe I can bring a fresh outlook to how we challenge our processes, how we define what we do, how we define where and how we do what we do. The question in my mind is not which programs do you cancel. The question is, where do you offer them so that you can help balance the utilization of your campuses? Now, we know that between the southern area of the district, the northern area of the district, there is an imbalance in enrollment right now. The district has grown significantly more to the south. In the north, the district has actually shrunk as far as enrollments go. Any building, any operation has a certain amount of overhead that is not proportional to what it's offering. So reestablishing balance is very important. Now, we look at some of the other districts that have amazing magnet programs out there, Booker T, et cetera. We can, I believe, really work with some of these incredible programs that we have and slowly, not flipping them like this, but slowly helping these programs bring enrollment into the schools that are currently underutilized and rebalancing that. And that's the type of thing that helps you balance cost. Another part is we currently have an incredibly well-administered improvement budget, very well administered. There's a huge difference between the deficit we're facing on one side and how much money we currently have left on our improvement budget and how we've managed to renegotiate some of those, refinance some of those bonds. So the thing is, you can't use improvement money for your everyday operations. These seem like two different, separate things. I believe they're not. They're not totally separate. And the reason I say this is there are many improvements that you can do that will decrease your operational cost. So if you have money in one bucket, and by spending with that bucket, you can continuously and repetitively improve your operations, you need to be looking at that. Some of it's come up in the meetings, you know, why didn't we put solar panels on some of the schools? And people said, well, it's a 20-year return. Well, we can keep on spending money where we have a deficit for 20 years, or we can make that investment and reduce that 20-year operational cost. So I believe we need to look at things in that way. We have the staff to do this. Anybody who took the time, and if you haven't done this, you should, to watch Dr. Axelson's brief right after the freeze, the Snowmageddon event, of how people rose to the occasion, jumped up, and found out which schools were having issues, which schools were having broken pipes, quickly got that shut down. We could have sat back on our chair and said, this is insured, this is covered. But the damage would have been tremendous and we wouldn't have managed to get things up and done again. We have the staff who is reactive. We have the staff who cares. We just need to make sure that we are getting them into a mindset where we say, okay, we're not permanently growing. We have to stabilize what we have, and we have to do it more efficiently. We have to ask the right questions and instill a culture of thinking outside the box and optimizing. That's my answer there. It's a long one, I'm sorry.
Well, no, and I wanted to let you go just because everybody sees your passion behind why you're wanting to do this. So just to kind of circle back is just keep in mind we have another 15, 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
The next few questions, we got 4 more questions. If we can just kind of
Yeah, the others are much shorter.
okay, no
Yeah.
worries, no worries. So the next question is what are the 2 or 3 most important actions you would take if elected, and how would you advance them and pay for them?
Okay, great. So I think I spoke in a way a lot about this in my first answer because I really felt that it came together, but clearly preserving the programs that we have that make us unique and finding the ways that we distribute the teacher workload, the student enrollment over time in the district so that we can free up the resources and the money that we need for that. Another point is ensuring that the transition from virtual and simultaneous on-site learning to a traditional content delivery is as smooth and as efficient as possible. Okay, we need to make sure that any gaps or losses that were experienced by those students are promptly addressed. I said this earlier, I'm going to say it again. I applaud our educators. They turned on a dime. They did their jobs in a way they weren't trained for. Sadly, this was more successful for some kids than for others. I wish this weren't the case, but it was. And we have to be able to recoup that. And we have to do our job and our duty to get things back up and running again. But what we did allowed us to open up our schools. And what we did has been successful. We have seen every grading period, we have seen a significant growth in attendance. People are feeling confident to come back into the schools. We've had successful COVID numbers there. Finally, understanding the root causes of the decrease in enrollment that we've had and working to increase the enrollment, right? There's 2 sides to a deficit. There's cost, there's revenue. We are talking about some of those, but I think we need to take a good look at open enrollment. Even the smallest things. I mean, Trustee Bentley came up with a wonderful suggestion. I don't know why we never thought about this before in one of the meetings, of opening open enrollment, not just to the people in the cities neighboring, or people in Coppell that are outside Coppell ISD, but to the city workers, the workers in our police force, et cetera. That's obvious. It's not a lot of kids, but it is kids, and it does bring money into the community and into the ISD, and it helps our community at the same time. I think we need to look very closely at pre-K. Pre-K went from half day to full day, but kept the funding as if it was half day. So we need to look on the open enrollment side of that equation. Can we bring in kids who currently do not qualify with a fee so that we can actually help balance out our pre-K and help balance out the resources that we use there? There are parents that would probably be willing to have their kids start in the ISD as early as possible and run through that, even if there were costs associated with that. I think we need to look at that carefully. There's questions about the virtual academy. I don't know if that's going to help or not help with enrollment or help keep people from leaving the district. I do believe everything needs to be looked at with a prism of self-sustainment. So is it self-sustainable to dedicate the staff, the time, and the resources to virtual academy? If it is, then absolutely, let's bring that revenue in.
Sounds good. Next question, where does the development or redevelopment emphasis need to be in your community, residential or commercial? And how has Coppell ISD performed in this area?
So this is a really interesting question. I think in a way, I think the essence of it is a little more dedicated to city council than it is to ISD. But let's take a look at this. First and foremost, let's make sure everybody has a level understanding. Sales taxes from commercial don't play a part in ISD funding, but property taxes do. And 11 states in the US, including Texas, have odd property tax rules for businesses where your inventory also generates property tax. Now, we have some Freeport issues there, but we have a lot of commercial businesses outside with inventory in the outskirts of the city that are generating revenue. I actually got curious and I went and I looked, and the tax base for commercial is actually a little higher than it is for residential in Coppell. And as somebody who drives around Coppell all the time and sees so many houses, I would not have thought that. So what's interesting about that is that residential and commercial don't necessarily follow the same cycles. They don't necessarily follow the same peaks and troughs, and that brings stability to your budget. I think our CFO, Mr. Carr, was talking the other day about how last year commercial probably helped us out a little bit, as a lot of people were out challenging their property values, trying to do everything that they possibly could to deal with their finances in this situation. In commercial, you don't see the same type of challenging of those values that erode that base. Between 2009 2011, commercial actually lost its tax base. It actually dipped. The value actually dipped. Residential remained relatively stable, but then suddenly between 12 and 18 they grew similarly, and then in 19, residential was almost flat and commercial peaked up again. So like I say, this is something that really helps us in this manner. So diversity is the key to stability, and stability leads to good planning. And planning is what you need when you have a budget issue.
Thank you. Fourth question is, does Coppell ISD deliver services in the most cost-effective manner? Please be specific about improvements you would advocate.
Okay. This is the heart of the matter to me. I believe we deliver the right services. Let's get that right out there. Coppell ISD is a top-class public school district. It's reputed for excellence, and it's reputed for its willingness to innovate, in my opinion. We have a near total graduation rate, 98.5. I mean, almost 100% of our high schoolers are graduating. Our testing scores place us in the top 1% in the state, which again is a testament to the quality of our educators. In reading and in math, the district dramatically outperforms the Texas averages. In fact, one elementary school is in the top 1%, and 6 of them are in the top 10% of the state. It's been known to attract and to maintain top talent, and this point's important because it sets us apart from charters. We have a very low turnover, which is very important. As charter schools, which are competing for our enrollment, have a huge turnover proportionally to us. The district's able to offer choices that best suit student learning styles. We were talking about DLI, we were talking about IB, we were talking about New Tech High. And let me be clear, I said it earlier, but the improvements we've made in special ed, Section 405, the work that we do with gifted and talented, the results are really beginning to speak to themselves there. But the costs are now higher than the revenue and that we can keep after Robin Hood. We keep complaining about Austin, but rules are rules. What we need to do is change our outlook on how we spend and spend efficiently to deliver what we do today.
Thank you. And the last question is, please rate the transparency of decision-making in your school district, in our school.
Okay, in the district. I have to say that I'm impressed with the progress of the district in this manner. Making the video of the board workshops available and not just the meetings has made a huge difference. It got the community talking about what's happening. Case in point, I'm running because I'm concerned about the budget issues. And there is a large base of people out there that reach out to me almost immediately because they too are concerned. They too are looking for some change in how we look at these issues. And that comes from very good communication. For you to know you have an issue, you have to be communicating about it. I think that there's been continuously improving use of electronic media. Communication's clearer than it was when my kids started in the school district already. I think there's been very clear information from the Bond Oversight Committee, and that's very important, how our tax bonds are being used. Great communication lately on the successful refinancing that saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars, literally, because, again, our credit is so good right now, before we moved into this phase, that we can refinance these bonds and save a lot of money. We have to be careful that we do not lose our credit rating, because if we do, our costs are going to go up, and they're going to go up in a way that doesn't deliver content, which is the worst way your costs can go up. And finally, the CISD Visioning Committee, I think, is doing a good job at getting the word out on where we're going in a similar way to what the city has actually been doing with their 2040 vision. So I think here, I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. I would just keep telling them, keep improving. There is always room for improvement, but in my opinion, it's improved dramatically, and I applaud the people that are running that.
Well, that's all the formal questions. Before you and I go casual, do you have just sort of a closing message, closing statement?
Okay. I just wanted to say, again, what I do for a living is dealing with transformation and helping people find efficiency in their system where they thought they didn't have it, helping people look at things through a different prism, look at problems from a different angle so that we can approach that. I deal constantly with businesses that are changing the phase that they're in, whether we are starting a new line of products or whether we are growing or whether we are contracting. These are changes in the moment that your business is in the phase that it's going through. Coppell ISD, for the first time in years, is now going through a change in phase. We're going through a stabilization. We've got to look at things differently. Doing what we've been doing for the last 10 years is not going to help us get back on track financially. Doing what we've been doing for the last 10 years, educating our kids, is what we have to do. So fixing that conundrum is something that I would truly like a shot at doing. And I hope this conversation helped show the passion that I have to this district, to the kids that are here. And for those who don't have kids, but who pay their taxes and would like to see them well utilized and serving their property value, this is what I'm aiming to deliver. And this is why I need the support of all of those who may be watching.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, your passion, you're behind, what you're wanting to do shows through. I applaud you for that. Many times these words get typed up and put into a newspaper, and you can't understand the emotion behind the words. And I think that means a lot. So hopefully this format worked well for you to get your message across. And I'm sure many of our constituents will be watching it. I'll reinforce what you said about how our district reacted last spring and went to the virtual environment. There was hiccups, but seemingly seamlessly. We're telling friends and family in other areas, and they were like, "Wow, you guys are already doing that. You guys are already there," and they were struggling. And that. But how did your kids handle that transition, or how do they enjoy virtual versus in person, or what do they,
I'm an example of having experienced both sides of the equation. My youngest, Martin, I must say his grades didn't dip, but his attention and dedication was not there. We were taking, hours. We were finishing our school day at 7 o'clock in the evening, and we were truly starting it at, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:40 in the morning. My eldest, on the other hand, like I say, is a little more introspective, a little more technical, and he thrived in this environment. And we took the best of the situation we were given. I would have liked both my kids to be in school. I would have liked both my kids to be socializing earlier. My youngest went back before my eldest, and that's just because of the needs that they were experiencing in the situation that the school was offering at that point in time. But I think that personal contact is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
It's we have to get our kids back in school. And I think with the rate that vaccination has been going and that cases have been going, I have zero doubt that we will be back to traditional content delivery next academic year. And I just hope that the positive things that we learned about new methods of content delivery are going to be used for us to better utilize our resources. Yet, we do need to make sure that that personal contact that teachers need with the kids so that they can really see where they're struggling and how they're struggling, that ultimately to me can only come from a face-to-face relationship.
Yeah, this was, it was a very good real life experiment. Unfortunately, the kids became the guinea pigs as far as the experiment's concerned, but lots of lessons learned through the whole process, knowing we have different personalities, different learning types, capabilities of how to teach and how to deliver content, and so confident that our district will be able to harness all of that. How you said Wilson Elementary? How long have you guys been in the kind of Wilson sphere?
So just to be clear, we're actually zoned to Pinkerton by our address, but the DLI is what led us over there. And we're coming up on our 8th year in this house within a month or two.
Okay.
And my eldest, he started at Wilson August of that year, so 7 years ago.
Okay.
So we've been in that sphere for about 7 years.
Yeah. So yeah, we live behind Wilson Elementary, but we moved here when both kids were in middle school, so we didn't get to experience. We've heard such great things about Wilson, but we never got to experience that. We started at Old Middle School West, and my son was actually the first class of the 9th grade center. So in theory, he got 4 years at one building. It just didn't happen to be the main high school.
The main high school,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's but yeah, and the reason why I was asking about Wilson is kind of how much you guys have an opportunity to really interact with the teachers and staff within either Wilson or Pinkerton or the district in committees and whatnot.
So I mean, we certainly interact with them. My eldest, when he was going through Wilson, had a good time with theater and being able to go out there, help them build the set, talk to them, talk to the teachers a lot about the DLI program, and what we're doing is being a privilege in that respect. Because of the nature of my job right now, I'm in the Dallas area and I'm focusing, and I'm at our headquarters here, and I'm focusing on a group wide. But for the last few years, I've actually been running projects up in Europe and in other parts of the U.S. So I've been traveling a lot, and we were talking about how I'm volunteering on with the COVID vaccination, and I wish I could have volunteered. I wish I could have helped more with the school district, and this is my way of standing up right now and delivering. I wish I could have been a stronger part of the Wilson community. I wish I'd been here to be able to do that in the past. And this is how I'm trying.
You've had an opportunity to experience our educators and our staff. I've done a handful of committees with the ISD, and it never ceases to amaze me, their dedication and their willingness to learn more for themselves, develop professionally, and turn around and deliver all of that to all of our kids. Like you've mentioned, we are absolutely blessed from administration to staff to teachers that sets us apart. It's amazing what we have.
I mean, I think anybody who is a parent will know that we love our children to death, but every now and then they drive us crazy. Teachers have the love to death and drive crazy all the time from some kid in the class.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it takes a special type of person to do that job. It takes a special type of person with a special type of dedication. And somehow Coppell ISD really has found a way to get out ahead of the curve and hire some of the top talent that is out there.
Yeah.
And just talking to some of these people and listening and seeing the insight that they have on how your kids are doing, how they're learning, what you can do to help. I mean, if you listen, they can teach you.
Mm-hmm.
They can teach you about your kids. They can teach you things you don't know about your kids, and your kids live in your house. That's incredible. So.
Well, cool deal. Well, this was good, Sam. This was fun, getting to know you, and I like I said, is I appreciate the passion and the emotion behind your motivation for wanting to run. I wish you best of luck in the campaign, and of course, involved in our community and staying on no matter what happens. And like that, I look forward to meeting you in person at one point, and helping our community and our ISD.
We got to find a way to have a coffee together and get some more money into the businesses in Coppell. We'll choose one of the great coffee shops that we have and do that at some point. But thank you for this opportunity. And if I can leave just one last word,
yes, please.
It doesn't matter whether you are aligned with me, whether you're aligned with my opponents, get out and vote. It is an absolute privilege that we have been given by our history, by what we have done, what we have created, that we can vote, that we can choose, and that we have a system where we have a voice. Go out and vote. Early vote, if you have to early vote, go out on the day if that's what you do, but vote, please. And if you're aligned with my ideas, then I'm very, very happy to have your vote.
Well, thank you very much. I wish you the best of the rest of the day, and have a good weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.